Yo, congrats, Glitchless, and best of luck to Drex. Show people why Puggsy is the hottest speed game this summer.
Oh my goodness.
Did somebody say Summer of Puggsy?
Summer of Puggsy? Hashtag Summer of Puggsy?
Hashtag Summer of Puggsy. Yeah, you think that my boy Drex is going to do a run of Puggsy and I'm not going to be here to support him? Please. What's with that 32-minute roll and shallow estimate, my dude?
32. I don't know. When I submitted this game, I wasn't very good at it.
Oh. Okay, so things changed. Cool.
Things changed. A lot of things changed. But I think I'm ready to do this whenever we get the
we're
word.
about to fix the schedule with this run.
Yeah, we're gonna fix the schedule with this run right now.
All right. Well, I guess I should actually watch the restream instead of watching the channel. Okay, I got you up. Let's do this thing, man.
Cool. Allie, are you doing the timer, or someone doing the timer?
No, that's the restreamer doing the timer. So just give a countdown.
All right. Timer's gonna start when I say go, so I'm gonna give a countdown from 3. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Yo, welcome to Summer Puggsy. Today we're taking a nice casual stroll out on the beach. This roll and shallow 32-minute estimate. Absolutely gonna destroy this game. So Puggsy is a number of things. I'll get back to that. Feel free to throw out in the chat your own predictions for what you think Puggsy might be. We'll tell you if you're right or wrong, though to be honest, we don't know any more than you do. But one of the things that makes this game really cool is its physics engine, which is something that really outclassed a lot of games from its time. So the items that you interact with in the stages actually have proper collision with one another. They all have their own weight, their own friction, their own mechanics, individual and unique from each other, which really makes this game a very, very interesting speedrun. Figuring out how you can use items to sequence break this game is a big part of playing it quickly. As I can tell you, there's several different routes, so if you were to watch, for instance, me and Drex do this run, we both have our own unique strats. I think one of the things that makes this game so cool is that there's so many different strats that actually end up working out to be roughly the same amount of time. There's definitely variation in skill of gameplay.
Thing.
All right, looks like I've got you back now in the next level. So if I'm gonna try stopping the stream and starting it back so I can watch. So this stage that Drex is on right now is actually one of the first big sort of tricks in the game. You're supposed to carry a key all the way over to a door, but in addition to carrying the key to the door, you also have to get an axe over there for later. And so there's a trick that we do. There's a pretty good setup that Drex actually found for it, where you can throw the key from really far back, and it just bounces its way to the lock. It's surprisingly tight for how consistent both Drex and I are at it. You're really sort of threading the platforms when you throw that key. It's like going very carefully between them in order to bounce to exactly where it needs to go. So.
Got the weird RNG on that. The guy decided to turn left instead of right, so...
Yeah, so this game actually has very little legitimate RNG, but because this game is, you know, it's a fully modeled physics engine, like everything is actually physics-based. Sometimes enemies in the stage or objects will behave slightly differently based on the physics calculations, and I also have speculated that the physics calculations are different for objects when they're on screen and off screen, because things that are notoriously consistent seem to give slightly different behaviors when they're off screen.
Also, that bounce I got first try right now was pretty insane.
Yeah, so this is where Drex picks up the first real upgrade you'll see in the game, the shoes. He's actually had the sunglasses for a little while, which they're nice. They actually allow you to take an extra hit without dying. Puggsy takes one hit to die unless he's fighting a boss. But with the sunglasses, that allows you to take one extra hit. So that's kind of a nice extra thing. The shoes allow you to run faster, and they also act as an extra hit. So they actually have some functionality to bringing them with you. Unfortunately, the game developers were very cruel and made it so that if you take damage with both shoes and sunglasses on at the same time, that the shoes take priority, so you lose them first every single time. Which is a real bummer. This game could have some pretty interesting strats on top of what it already has if you could damage boost with the sunglasses, but anytime you take a hit, you lose your running speed upgrade, so it's pretty much a run-ender if you're going for world record, or time loss if you're not. So as you can see, there's two health bars at the top of the screen. The orange one on the left is always Puggsy's, and the boss health is in blue on the right. Different bosses start with different amounts of health. You'll see sometimes he'll enter a boss and some of the health will already be missing. That's because that boss in particular has less health. This is the only place in the game where you can take a hit and you don't lose your upgrades. So you have that health bar, and taking hits doesn't really affect you all that much, as long as you out DPS the boss, as long as they die before you do. And if you're wondering, yes, if you die in a boss, you do lose your upgrades. It does not let you keep them, so.
Yeah, and every boss has 7 health rather than 6. Even if it's on 0, what you would think is 0, you still got to hit it one more time to get it dead.
Yeah, that health bar goes down to 0, and then it takes one extra hit to kill it, so. So these two back-to-back water levels are both a little bit unique. These are the only levels in the game where you really have to deal with water physics, which are kind of interesting on their own. You'll see here that Drex is actually using the object in his hands to sort of swim through the room. It is definitely a lot nicer to do that because it allows you to stay out of the way of the enemies. But he's also going to try to use that same mechanic, that mechanic of where an item held in your hands allow you to sort of mess around with the physics. He's going to try to use that here to get on top of this rubber ducky. You're supposed to have to bring a whole bunch of items from the beginning of the stage to build a bridge. What he's doing here is he was just trying to get on top of the rubber ducky. So that's a trick right there that Drex is actually really good at, and I am terrible at. He realized he had pushed the rubber ducky too far back, and that it wasn't going to be very easy for him to get it back in place, so he just climbed the wall with an object. That's way harder than it looks, too. There's only one part in the speedrun where that's required, and I'm notorious for losing a million in that stage, so. Drex made it look real easy.
Yeah, I shouldn't do that though. It's a bad habit to have. But I couldn't get up there the regular way, the right way, so I just said, do it this way.
So in terms of the speed run that you're seeing here, this is the only stage where we have to do it twice. And this stage has 2 different exits. There's one exit at the bottom at the street level, and there's one exit on the rooftops, and they both go to 2 different places. Unfortunately, one of them leads to the rest of the game, and one of them leads to one of the bosses, or the guardians, and you have to defeat all the guardians to beat the game, so there's really no way around it. He has to do the stage both times, and he has to take both paths. Nice pattern on the rooftops. Those chimneys will sometimes spit out clouds, and those clouds will cause you damage, so.
For the longest time, we thought it was RNG, but we figured it out.
Yeah, there's a fixed pattern on them. This stage kind of shows off the sort of sequence breaking we deal with in this game. So there's really no what you might consider to be legitimate sequence breaks like you get with a lot of games. You have to play all the levels, there's really no getting around it. But there's a lot of little moves you can do in this game that skip doing it the way the game intends it. So he tried to throw that match over to the rope from the very top, just sort of bouncing down the hill. Unfortunately, it ran into an object, so that didn't end up working out. But and then the worst stage in the game.
Let's see if I can make it not the worst. I didn't get the early open. Whoops. Oh boy.
I'm surprised you went for it. It looked pretty smooth too. So this level right here is trying to get him to fill up this sort of chute full of coins. So he needs to throw them in there. Just the act of throwing them in there is really hard to get consistent at. Drex is really good at this. And then the end of this stage is just a really unpredictable portion that there isn't really a lot of way to control. So this stage is 2 parts combined into one whole. Both of them are just terrible. So he got done with the first part, and now he's gonna throw this object down the hole and just pray that it works out.
Got lucky.
Oh yeah, that's nice. So you can get stuck there for quite a while, that mouse just running back and forth, jumping over the eyeball, pushing it the wrong direction. I mean, I've been known to lose 30 or 40 seconds on that stage alone. So that was really nice that went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, it's not really RNG, but it's just really hard to be consistent with it, so...
Yeah, we've sort of talked about looking into figuring out a way to manipulate that mouse that runs back and forth, just figuring out how to know when to throw it down, but we haven't come up with anything concrete yet, but one day.
One day we'll know everything about Puggsy.
One day we'll know everything there is to know. We still will never know what Puggsy actually is. So this stage right here looks really simple once he sort of gets everything into place. But the thing about this stage is that if you're playing this blind or casually or otherwise, sort of making that mental map and figuring out what each of these levers does to the gear works that's above him can be really challenging. This is very easy for this fight to kind of go off the rails if you haven't just basically memorized the levers. And I know when I do that stage, I just memorize what order to hit things in.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're just on autopilot or whatever and you get there, you'll just forget what to do and it goes bad. You hit one switch in the wrong sequence and you're gonna be losing a lot of time.
So a lot of people don't understand what's going on in this stage. The raccoon is actually tracking you in the X direction, just left and right. And he jumps on his own every 4 seconds. It's not random, it's on a timer. Every 4 seconds, he just jumps again. So Drex is using the remote control to see where the raccoon actually is, but the raccoon's movement is based entirely on tracking his movement down at the bottom of the screen. So even though you can't see him down there, he was moving back and forth to manipulate the movement there.
Let's see if I can get this first try.
This stage is notoriously fickle as well.
I might be able to get a second cycle here.
Yeah. You send those balls through a series of teleporters and it's kind of... It's more or less luck whether or not you get the result you want.
Can I pop in here for a second?
Absolutely.
Drex, I just wanted to let you know that you will be getting to run Junior %.
Oh my goodness. Really? It was so far away.
The
Nice.
people have spoken, Drex.
People want to see that minute 30 of fun. Alright, awesome.
So this is a relatively straightforward stage. You have to put the shapes into the holders at the top, but the sort of funny part here is that one of them's only obtainable if you bring an item to jump on top of. So if you just take every single object up to the top as you find it, you actually can't get the last one. So you have to know that one of them's unobtainable. I feel like now's a good time to talk about boss names.
Yeah.
So the
About
very
those.
first, so the bosses all have very clever names. This boss is called So Pharaoh So Cool. The very first boss is named Polypirate, which is maybe the least interesting of the names. The second one was, let's see, the Emperor's New Clothes. The third one was Flower Power. And that one was So Pharaoh So Cool, which is a groan-worthy attempt at a pun, but I feel like it more or less misses the threshold to be called a pun. So that's a big sequence break right there. You're not supposed to be able to bring the ball on your first pass. You're supposed to use the ball to get up here and then bring an object back to be able to bring the ball forward. Sort of a back and forth movement in this stage, but using the ball to climb the wall is the key there. Also in this stage, you've got that awful guy chasing after you. He's actually a lot faster if you have running shoes. He's a lot slower and easier to stop if you don't. But if you have running shoes, he moves faster and he's way more aggressive.
Uh-oh. Psh. That was bad. Oh, man. I gotta go back for sneakers real quick.
All right.
I was on...
So this is sort of the curse of Puggsy here, is that all of the strats are based on having shoes and having that extra speed to allow us to do the sequence breaks we need. So the downside is that anytime you lose shoes, you got to make the walk of shame back to get them again.
I just happened to notice I was on Mega PB pace too, so that's why that happened.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you never wanna PB by too much.
It's alright. Just like 15 or so seconds, I think, there. I should be good still.
Alright, so this is another example of sort of how to use the physics system to sequence break in this game. So in this stage, sort of the intended way, is you're supposed to get this key that he's going to grab here, and he's going to use that key to go and unlock all the TNT. The problem is that these mine carts can't get down to the bottom because there's debris in their way, and so he's actually going to use the TNT to break the debris, but we don't actually have to do that. He just needs to break the very last bit of debris in order to open up a path to the end. So he's going to use the physics system to sort of circumvent the intended way to do this level, and we'll see that now.
Nope, we'll see me losing sneakers.
I know, I already saw it. You got greedy. What
I got
else you
greedy.
want?
I got greedy. Real greedy there. Alright, so let me try to do this again. So yeah, usually 3 pieces of TNT here is what you need, but...
He's going to try to do it with 1. And you know what? I have reason to believe, just from personal experience, that he's going to pull it off.
This was pretty big when I figured this out, because we had watched the task and we couldn't figure out how to replicate what the task was doing. And then I just decided to kind of throw it the way that I'm going to throw it, and it worked.
Yeah, the task has a lot of really unique tricks in this game that it's not always obvious whether or not they can be reproduced. So when Drex found a way to reproduce this one, it was kind of a big deal. I don't think Drex is playing on console. I think he's playing on Fusion. Unless I'm mistaken, he can correct me.
Yeah, I am playing on Fusion.
Liz Star wants to know why your Genesis is pink aligned. It's making everything look slightly pink, which I am a big fan of.
I think it may have something to do with my graphics card settings, actually.
To be fair, it could look worse. It could look like other Genesis games.
See, there you go. It's a real shame that they didn't make any good games for the Genesis. But, I mean...
They tried with this one. They almost did it.
This stage is super annoying if you don't have shoes, but it turns out that if you just run properly down the hill, you can avoid getting hit by anything if you have shoes.
All joking aside, this game is actually really good. You wouldn't know it from looking at it at first glance.
Yeah, Drex takes issue with people who call this a bad game. And I agree with him.
No double kill there, but...
This game is super charming and would probably be better received if Puggsy didn't look like, what, a whoopee cushion filled with expired jello or something like that.
Missed a second double hit there.
Yeah, so you're only supposed to be able to get one hit per cycle on the boss, but it actually turns out that if you can get a really early hit, his window of opportunity is just big enough that you can get a second hit in. It's pretty tight. It's not like frame perfect or anything like that, but it's pretty. There's really no room for error.
It's not too bad. I got 2 double hits on that, so I was able to save myself a few cycles.
I think you only lose 8 seconds for not getting 4 cycles.
So in this level, I'm gonna take this gun and zap these ghosts. They drop some letters, and I gotta stick them on certain places in the wall. There's a flashlight up there if you're playing this game casually. You can actually use the flashlight to kind of find where you're supposed to put the letters. But obviously, I know where they go.
He's an expert. He's a Puggsy expert.
Puggsy expert. I've done this a few times.
A Pexpert.
This is another big skip here.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, I told the story of the boss names before. That boss is named Halitosis the Dragon. I think they were implying that it's not necessarily just fire that he's spitting out, but also potentially bad breath. I don't have any commentary on that, other than just sharing that information with you.
Alright, here we go. This is the fun stage. This is the real run killer.
So honestly, this stage actually got kind of broken wide open more recently. For the longest time, so this bird that's coming up, and the one that's under him just a moment ago, they're kind of random. In fact, they may be the only genuine element of randomness in the entire game. But a little while ago, when me and Drex were sort of brainstorming some ideas, I had come up with the idea of, and he mentioned that he had already sort of experimented with it in the past, the idea of just jumping on the bird's head, and it turned out that way easier.
But I did it the hard way right now, which is quicker. If you sneak under
yeah, it depends on when you get there, but
you gotta get lucky. Seems like the hummingbird has 2 different cycles, a fast one and a slow one. So if it goes down slow, it's easier to get underneath it, but if it goes fast, then it's easier to jump on it.
Yes, we have asked the developer. He has a YouTube channel called Game Hut. You may have seen it before. It's somewhat popular right now. He's the developer of Puggsy. We have reached out to him with inquiries and questions and just, you know, the general sort of fan letters you would send, and he has so far spurned all of our advances. So.
Matt Furness, though, the guy who did the soundtrack of this game, real nice guy. We'll respond to you on Twitter. No, get up there.
Yeah, if that's what you're about, if you're about getting replies on Twitter, then he's your man. Yeah, friendship ended with John Burton. Matt Furness is new best friend.
So this level, I'm just taking these shapes, and I have to alternate which tube I put them in. Every time I do it, a different shape will pop out, as long as I do it in the correct pattern. We have to get a 6-sided item to open the gate down there.
Yeah, you joke, but he's building a YouTube channel on the back of Puggsy. You'd think that he'd want to, you know, have an opportunity for more content talking about exploits in his fantastic game. I'm just saying, I could write the YouTube video for him. at this point. Like I know how that one goes.
This is another
The
level
man's
where...
entire YouTube channel is based on Puggsy, Sonic R, and what was the other one? Mickey Mania.
Another annoying level with 2 items that we have to kind of deal with here.
Yeah, so what makes this
got lucky there.
What makes this stage pretty quirky is that you need to get the key up to the top, but if you take it through that little tunnel, it will activate the switch that will make you fall and get trapped. So the only way to get the key up to the lock is to send it on a balloon ride up through the steam vents and catch it on the other side. So that's kind of what's going on there. So we're pretty close to the end, and in typical great game fashion, the last few levels are going to be the real deciders here. He's playing a little bit safe on that one, but I don't blame him. It's really easy to just clock your face straight into the raccoon there. And then this stage. This stage has no redeeming qualities. Everything that you see here is the more or less intended strat. This is not us making it harder than it needs to be. This is actually what they thought you would want to do, so...
Uh-oh. Well, that's no good.
Oh, yikes. Oh, yikes.
I forgot to drop my safety barrel down there.
Yeah.
I gotta move some stuff out of the way here.
So he's gonna attempt a save here.
There you go. That'll
There's
work.
no way to pick up this object, but it needs to get on that pedestal. Yeah, actually, you can just push it up the slope of the pedestal.
Oh, you're supposed to be able to.
I usually can. Just give it some muscle, my dude. Put some mustard on that bad boy. Anyway, so he has to get the thing up onto the pedestal, but he can't pick it up, so it involves carrying it.
Oh, come on.
It involves carrying it on these barrels. It sucks. Everything about this is just the worst thing. You can actually save it even when it's in this state. If you hit it with your barrel, you can get it to bounce a little bit, but everything about this level just sucks. So
I'm just gonna restart it.
All right, we're taking a mulligan. We're going again.
Usually I drop a barrel there.
Good looking out with that 32-minute estimate, by the way. This level's rough. This level can take anywhere between 40 seconds and 10 minutes, so...
Yeah, feel free to read donations now. That would be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think you could use the motivation as well. So we have $17 from Jeff XVX, who says, a dog walks into a space alien bar. The space alien behind the bar says, we don't serve your kind here. The dog says, but I'm a pug, see? The bartender replies, we still don't serve anyone who makes terrible puns. Hashtag summer of Puggsy.
Big ol' yikes.
Alright, there we go. We did it. We did it! Finally.
And then one last one, we have $185 from Dorkmaster Fleck, who says, well, about making up time with this rolling shallow estimate? Kappa, we're seeing this Puggsy bonus run and breaking 3K tonight, baby. :D.
Heck yes.
Thank you.
So all jokes aside, what Drex experienced here was exactly normal Puggsy. This is how this game goes. It's mega frustrating at the highest tier, just because all it takes is one little thing to go wrong. Thankfully, this game ends with the biggest joke of a boss in the world. There's like a special few pixels you can stand on that guarantee double hits and taking no damage, so...
Yeah, before losing Sneakers twice and that last level there, I was on pretty good pace.
Yeah, that was a killer run.
But that's just the way Puggsy goes.
Sneakers twice is about a minute, and that redo on that one was probably about a minute and a half, maybe a little more, so I'm looking at a good time there. One more hit, so time's coming up. I'll call it out. It's as soon as he takes damage one more time. So just get ready on that timer.
Time.
I realized only too late that there's no way I'd be able to call it just because I'm on like a 2-second delay.
28-29. Not too bad. It's actually 28-28. Closer to that, but not bad at all. But that's Puggsy.
Yeah, that was a pretty killer run. I mean, it's amazing how far this game has come. When I first started watching Drex run this game, the sub 30 was just a dream, and now this game has come such a long way, mostly thanks to his hard work, motivating me to work on this game as well, and between the two of us, we just keep pushing each other, so...
So how about that bonus run?
So,
Oh, yeah.
Are we doing that bonus run right now? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go ahead and reset then. Puggsy Part 2 coming soon. Never happened, just so you guys know, unfortunately.
A real disappointment to everyone. All the real Puggsy fans out there cry a little bit when they see that.
I cry every single night because of it.
That's rough. I feel bad for you, man. I'm sorry.
Alright, so yeah, the junior run. This run is really, really fast, so there probably won't be much commentating going on during this run at all. Puggsy's kind of a hard game to really talk about when you're playing anyway, so that's why I had my buddy Author Blues here. But this run is just really fast. It's a minute 30 or so. What it is it's 5 levels from the game laid out a little bit differently, with some of the objectives like halfway completed for you and that kind of thing, so you can kind of get a hang of the physics and all that. Actually, if you were going to play a casual playthrough of this game, I would highly recommend play the junior levels first to just kind of get a feel for the game, how Puggsy moves around, how different objects interact with one another, and that kind of thing. It actually does a pretty good job of covering everything that you'll encounter along the way.
All right, you want to count it down, and we'll
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see
Get
that
this one.
timer reset. I don't know if she knows that we're doing a bonus run here. But I'm okay. I'll just retime it. I don't actually have the world record in this game right now, so in this run specifically, I'm like off by like 0.5 seconds, so I might be able to get it right now. I don't know.
Oh, that dude beat you back?
He beat me again. That jerk.
Nice.
Not really. Anybody who wants to play this game, that's fantastic.
Okay, we're ready on time.
Cool. All right. On go again. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so most of these stages are basically just the stages we've already seen, but it's filled with items to give you an opportunity to sort of experiment and see what happens. Happens at the very first level. One of the items they want you to experiment with is a box of shoes, so here we go. So in this stage, you were originally supposed to build a staircase, but they gave you the staircase already. Pretty hard level. Nice throw. This stage was actually one of the harder ones we saw earlier, but they give you invincibility and they put the exit at the bottom, so...
Don't even have to do that hard rubber ducky strat or anything.
Basically every single level they give you the invincibility item.
This is a level that you won't see in the any percent run. They were nice enough to put it in the junior for us. Right, and boss, just a weakened Oh boy. Oh,
Yep.
there we go. That's
Instead of having 7 hits, he has 2 hits.
yes, 2 hits, and yeah, and time. That's the junior. So I really screwed that up. But once you finish it, it tells you well done. Now play the full game. I do not have the world record in this category. Somebody else is learning the game right now, and they decided to keep beating me over and over again on it. Probably because I can't get that boss down in 2 cycles like I'm supposed to. Pirate percent.
One day you'll learn.
Yeah, so if you do a casual playthrough of this game and you play on an emulator, there's some files that you'll want to find over on speedrun.com that will fix the issues. And there's also a guide to do it via the emulator. But if you play on EverDrive or something like that, you will need to patch your ROM. But yeah, that is it.
If you want to do any shout-outs or anything, call anything out.
Shout-outs to Author Blues for helping out with commentary. Also for kicking off the hashtag Summer of Puggsy. So if anybody is interested in learning this game, there is a bounty on it right now.
Yep, the next 3 people at this point, the next 3 people to submit a sub 28 time to the leaderboard, I'm giving $25 or a tier 3 sub if you prefer it that way. But either way, $25 is on the line for anyone to submit a sub 28 time to our leaderboard.
And,
a valid, verified sub.
Valid, yeah, valid, verified. We'll take a look at it. And obviously, thanks to everybody who came and supported this awesome cause with the donations and just being here as a viewer. You help more than you even know. So thank you guys. And we're gonna be having El Viento up next, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Oh, okay, sure.
When is so you got Summer of Puggsy, right? You got people running this. What's in game on that? When is Puggsy tournament? When am I gonna see a Puggsy tournament on Speed Gaming?
I think I would die that day. That would be a dream of mine, for Puggsy to be so big that there's enough people to hold even a small tournament. I think I would just be able to die that day and say I had a good run of it.
Well,
I share the sympathies.
There's like 180 people out there. Start running Puggsy. Make a tournament.
It's a really neat speed game. If you can get over how weird Puggsy kind of looks, I promise you that you'll have a good time with it.
Sort of looks like the hamburger helper dude, but orange.